but speculation is she may still be at a Leadville Sanitation Board meeting. Katie, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, good.
You know, this controls the mics. Yeah, so to turn up the speakers and just these down here. I'll have to put some labels on here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we never get to hang out together.
Except tonight. Oh, thank you.
So, and also when we do the Zoom live, I notice it doesn't show anybody that's off the video. It only shows the video. So like it shows council chambers and like Max is on video. So those are the only two screens that come up. For, but no, this is for YouTube Live. Live, YouTube, sorry, I said Zoom.
Yes.
YouTube.
Seasonal?
Not yet. I'm just kind of letting you see it because this is new.
125 this year. Okay. So I can see it
Famous.
Robin again. Yeah, for sure.
Just trying to get all the
Do you run
technology.
snowboard setups? No. Okay.
Okay, well, it is 6 o'clock. It's almost 6:01, so we'll go ahead and call city council to order at 6:01. Oh, wait. I keep forgetting to get this stuff out. Keep putting up. Call city council to order at 6:01 in the city council of November the 3rd, 2021. Gotta have this through. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lauritsen.
Here.
Councilmember Hill.
Present.
Councilmember Gowing is not present yet. Mayor Pro Tem Green.
Here.
Mayor Lobby.
Here.
Councilmember Forgensi.
Present.
Councilmember Tharp.
Here.
Thank you. We hope Jane can show up, but otherwise we'll keep moving on. At this time, I would ask for the approval of the agenda, or if anybody has anything they'd like to change on this agenda. Any changes to the agenda?
Bill moves to approve the agenda. Tharp seconds.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. At this time, we have housekeeping matters. I have a number of things I'd like to jump out in front with. 2A was a big success last night for anybody who heard. It was a 70% approval rate. So the Housing Coalition worked very hard to make that happen. And of course, we worked hard to get it on the ballot. So thank you guys very much. We have 9 applicants for city administrator. We have started the review process. We're trying to put together a meeting maybe for later next week to go through timelines and try and decide what exactly what our process is going to be. We'll keep you informed as we go along. Trick or Treat Street, huge success. Really, really a nice effort by the Main Street and County Parks and Rec. And they had they think over 800 kids, and then they think they had over 80 different entities, businesses and entities handing out candy. I think all the kids were pretty jazzed. Certainly the parents probably had a tough time that evening, but that's the nature of Halloween. Just a great event. I was pleased. The latest news on the electric vehicle charging station, Lori worked with them to try and get pinned down some timelines. They think they're going to have the transformer connected by the end of this week, the 3-phase transformer on the 3rd Street side, And then they think they'll, by the end of the following week, I may have these timelines a little off, but then they may have the power into the box at the parking lot. But they're saying there's a lot of other things that really need to happen for that all to be functional. And they're saying by Christmas. So that's the current timeline instead of sometime last year. That's the way everything goes. Real quick, we have received a couple grants. One is from CHAPA, and it's a grant. We had a Zoom call today with them about this grant. They have basically under the grant hired a firm that will work on and produce the RFP for housing at the rail yards that the LERA and possibly add the 5 lots that the city is going to own. And they've agreed to add that to the scope of work. So those will all be kind of done at the same time, which I was very pleased with. We also received, the county received it, but we worked closely with them on this, on a planning grant through DOLA. This planning grant will help us make definitive plans for affordable housing, either in the city or county. That's it for me. There's plenty going on. Any other housekeeping matters for anybody?
I'd just like to echo your thoughts on Trick or Treat Street. We were Alpine Skiing Sport opened up for it, and I would say, judging by the amount of candy we gave out, there were probably 800 would be maybe even a conservative guess.
I would agree.
Because I had to go to the store 3 times for candy,
That was the only
which was
thing I
awesome.
heard.
But I will say it was one of the scariest Halloweens ever when I looked across the street and saw the mayor and what he was wearing. And you can,
What were you talking? What May are we talking about?
I mean, you can just not, you can't unsee certain things.
I did it just for you, Tim.
You are high visibility, and that's good as a crossing guard.
You know, I was a crossing guard. That's right. The car had to take me out first,
That's right.
which some of them would have gladly done.
But yeah, it was fun. I thought,
And what a great family event. I mean, it was families everywhere. It was terrific. Thank you.
And I think, we all voiced some concerns about safety and management, and it felt really well managed to me. But the crossing guards seemed great. It just seemed really vibrant.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think we're going to debrief on Friday and talk about, what could we do better? What went well? What can we do better? For instance, having more candy next year. Everybody ran out of candy and everybody was making runs to get more. So that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
We just way underestimated what was going to happen. But also in terms of crossing, I think there were some maybe gaps
Yeah.
in places people were crossing, and maybe we have to rethink that. But nonetheless, I thought it was pretty safe. Anybody else?
I see Christian joining us by Zoom, and just want to congratulate.
Oh, yeah.
I
Hi,
think
Christian.
If this is the future council member, Christian, just want to congratulate you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, look forward to serving with you on this council.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to serving too.
Glad you caught that. Yeah, nice.
Well, speaking of that, real quickly, when I got on the board or on council, we had a session, I think from somebody from the municipal league who kind of went over what we can and can't do. Are you planning something like that?
We should ask for that. Usually it's dual, usually SURSA and maybe municipal
that's
league
okay.
and maybe our city attorney. They kind of, doesn't have to be all of them, but they have to give us some insights
Right.
into what are our responsibilities and what responsibilities should we not be concerning ourselves with, things like that. And what are the legal implications of being on city council or mayor? There are some. So yeah, thank you for that reminder. We'll
Yeah, I
make
wouldn't
sure.
mind a refresher.
Well, me too. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I got a briefing from Cristiano when I started, and Sarah Day gave me quite a download of info, and that was very helpful. So yeah, and I, like you, I could definitely use a refresher.
All right, thank you. Welcome, Christian. Any other housekeeping matters? Okay, thank you. At this time, we would entertain any public comments on items not on the agenda. If anybody in the public would like to speak, please come up, introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes. Seeing none, seeing none, we can move on.
There is a chat.
Is there anybody in the chat who wanted to speak?
No, Christiana was just clarifying that's usually Sursa and the city attorney's office.
Okay, thank you.
But it's on our task list to get that scheduled.
Great.
Okay.
Nice. Is anybody on Zoom would like to speak to city council on items that are not on the agenda? I think there may be somebody who wants to speak.
Tina Long, she's on. the
Okay,
agenda.
she's on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Tina.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have the approval of the minutes from October the 19th and the 26th. We'll do the 19th first.
Let's see, I had a couple things on that one. Under the executive session portion of the minutes, that second paragraph in that part, it says city council went into executive session is how that paragraph starts. And then the participants, I am listed twice. And Councilmember Tharp is not listed in that group. So if we want to make that change.
Nice catch.
And then on page 3, the resolution 29, the second paragraph, it starts with Christy Galarza with the Housing Coalition. On that first sentence, campaign is spelled C-H-A-M-P.
Champagne.
I'm going to take that H out of there, just to make sure we weren't drinking on the job here. Well, I wouldn't be opposed to it. That's all I have.
We said before, city council can happen anywhere as long as we post it, so. Yes.
Okay, just one other thing on page 3, middle of the page, paragraph CM Tharp moved to adopt. The second line there, it's just a typo. It should be land, not blank.
Okay. Anybody else? Max, Dana, any changes? Okay, thank you. I would entertain a motion, please.
Bill moves to approve the minutes of the Tuesday, October 19th, regular count, October 19th, 2021, regular council meeting.
5 seconds.
With the suggested change.
Oh, with the changes, sorry.
Yes, thank you. And we have a second from thoughts. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. All were in favor. At this time, we have the meeting, the minutes from October the 26th, 2021. This was a work session with a presentation.
I had one thing. So towards the bottom, the paragraph that starts public comments about items not on the agenda. That person who it looks like was Matt Burns,
Yeah.
who asked to speak with the mayor and police. I interpreted that he was asking on behalf of a private company, not CMC, but am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Okay.
That he did speak to me and he spoke to the chief, and he is employed by a company that that puts together virtual trainings around the United States, and he was interested in discussing whether or not it might make sense to put together a virtual training for police academy. And I said, we would have zero control over that. That would be the post organization you would have to go to them with a curriculum and go through them
Okay,
in order to implement that. So thank you for checking on that, but
Yeah.
that was what he was talking about.
okay.
So do you want to reword it?
Well, actually, it's not a comment about items not on the agenda. You can strike it entirely, frankly.
Oh, right.
Well, leaving it in doesn't hurt a thing.
But it wasn't through CMC, I guess.
No.
That would be true.
Okay, I'll
You
take
could
that.
change it to,
Well, yeah, the through CMC would be the venue. Is all, I think that's what he was referring to is,
so it'd be a CMC training, but they would
That's
turn it
right.
virtual.
right.
I guess.
So yes, I could see where that could be confusing.
I see.
Any other thoughts on this, on these minutes? If not, then I would entertain a motion, please.
Councilmember Fujensi approves to, approves the minutes from, never mind, I'm not ready. I lost my spot.
Councilmember Tharp moves to approve the minutes from the special council meeting on Tuesday, October 26, 2021.
Loretson second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. This time, we have a COA for, and I'm not even going to try, Tim. I'll get it wrong. For 126 West 3rd, the Historic Preservation Commission met on this. They agreed to approve the COA. It's a shed, actually, it's like two connected sheds. There are pictures here. Lori, can you give us a quick review of what was discussed and where we are now?
The HPC definitely talked to the applicant regarding moving the buildings. And the applicant has nowhere to move them. She had said something that she wanted the structures moved 2 years ago. And now at this time, they're not stable enough to move. That's pretty much the HPC's thought process on this one. Given the 6-month automatic approval, the HPC didn't feel like we were doing anything valuable in denying it because there's nowhere to move them and not really much chance of saving them. Even though we did get some pictures after the fact that showed that it did have a window and a possible door, so. The applicant is on Zoom. If you have any questions for her, the HPC did approve the request to deny.
I would say I was at the, I'm sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
The staff recommendation says that they recommend denying the COA.
That's not what I was told.
That is
No,
definitely
it's
vague everywhere.
Definitely not correct. I was at the meeting.
Okay.
Because right on the background, it says that a motion was made to approve the COA for demolition, and it was seconded and unanimously voted to approve and recommend.
It says
council
staff
to
recommends
approve
that the reviewing entity deny a COA for the demolition of the rear building.
it. Okay. Oh, there it is. I see it. I'm sorry. It's written so many times. That is a mistake right there. That's a typo.
The proposed motion does move to approve the COA.
Yeah.
So I think that's under council options. That's very confusing. I see where, well, that's very confusing. I would say that this applicant was very forthcoming. She tried to get these moved. She wanted to move to the front of her property because she actually wants to build a house on the back of the property. And she was told by several people that it really was not possible. And so I felt like she had made a good faith effort. And if you look at some of the pictures, it's really, really in bad shape. So I felt like it was a good decision on the part of historic preservation to to approve the COA. Any other questions?
Yes, I have
Uh,
I have
yeah.
a question. The paperwork says that the applicant wishes to build a house on that property, and it's hard for me to see, at least on my tiny screen, the layout of it, but does that mean that this will be a 2-house lot ultimately, or does she plan to?
That's not,
That's not clear to me, but they would have to go through the whole building department process, including the city's site review, before anything can happen.
I guess because my question was, would that involve demolition of the other house?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you.
Never.
Okay,
I believe just, Dana, there are 2 lots here, but not that it really matters for this, but
we'll see if they, when she brings forth the building plans, we have parameters around what can and cannot happen in terms of lot coverage, setbacks, height, all those things, and historic relevance. So all those are part of the building process.
Thanks, Tim. It's blurry on my little screen.
Dana, you hurting?
Am I hurting?
Yeah.
Emotionally? Yes.
No. Talking about physically.
No.
Okay. Look like you're holding your coffee cup up to your cheek. That's all. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Is there any other discussion regarding this matter? If not, I would entertain a motion, please.
Bill moves to approve the certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of the rear structures at 126 West 3rd Street, Leadville, Colorado, 80461, based on the criteria set forth in the related COA application, materials, and staff report dated October 26, 2021. The City of Leadville's Municipal Code, Section 17.44, and the 2015 Leadville Comprehensive Plan.
Do I have a second?
Tharp seconds.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Tharp,
Yes.
Councilmember Fergency,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Green,
Yes.
Mayor Lobby,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
Councilmember Larritzen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you, Council, sorry about the typo.
Next up, we have Our Lady of Guadalupe, the tipper use permit, if the applicant would like to present.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on behalf of Father Rafael and Holy Family Parish. My name is Cristina Reveles, and I am here tonight as a spokesperson to ask for permission to have procession from St. Joseph Church on West 2nd Street, Pronunciation Church on East 7th and Poplar. Specifically, we are requesting a police escort starting at 10 a.m. on Sunday, December 12th. This is for the annual Fest Day celebration of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The procession will consist of adults and children walking and possibly one different vehicle carrying a picture of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The procession starts at St. Joseph Church, where the group will head east until they reach Main Street, at which time they will turn left and proceed on to Harrison Avenue until they reach the stop light, then turning right and proceeding to the corner of 6th and Poplar, turning left and continuing until they reach Annunciation Church, where the mass and celebration will begin. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christine. Do we have any questions for the applicant? We have a map on here because it's an idea. I'd like to ask, where are you going to cross Harrison?
Can you repeat that question, please?
It's hard. Where are you going to cross Harrison? You going to cross Harrison at 3rd Street,
Okay.
Looks like the second.
2nd Street?
I think because they're gonna have a possible vehicle or two with the Our Lady of Guadalupe on it, they're trying to cross at Second and proceed up Harrison and then turn right onto Stitch, correct?
So they're going to proceed on the sidewalk up Harrison or on Harrison Avenue?
I think they want to walk in the middle of the street.
In that lane.
Okay, so we would need a temporary closure then.
Right.
That's, okay, well, to make sure that's in the motion.
Right, please, because that's,
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's in there.
oh, they did ask for an escort and they asked for stoppage to cross the street at Second.
Yeah, it wasn't in the proposed motion that I'm looking at, so that's why I was concerned.
Does say, does your event require Harrison to be closed for a short term?
Right,
Yes.
yeah, it's just not in the motion. We'll have to just make sure it's in the motion, that's all. Yes, that's why I didn't, that's why I asked.
This has been done before, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
this year, usually this year. I didn't show up last year because COVID, but usually.
How many years has the procession taken place? Because it used to be from Lake Fork.
Yeah,
town.
I'm not sure, it has 2 years, they just moved from San Joseph to
Right,
Annunciation, but before, yeah, you're right, it was from Mountain View
yeah,
to.
and that's been for decades. I mean, it's a long-standing
Yeah.
tradition, yeah.
Yes.
I never knew what it was called, but I remember seeing it.
I remember admiring them because sometimes it would be cold and snowy and they're walking and chanting and all the way from Mountain View. It was a
Yeah,
long
This
ways.
is a very special tradition from Mexican culture.
Okay, is this going to be, and you may not know the answer to this, but is this going to be the same route for the next few years?
I'm not sure about this, but it's possible.
Well, the only reason I ask is if it were going to be the same route, we could do a 3-year, we could grant a 3-year temporary use permit. And then if it didn't change, you wouldn't have to come back to us each year. And you would only have to come back if it changed. And based on what you're showing here, it looks like this could become a traditional route. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I think, yes, yes.
And
Okay.
always on the second Sunday in December.
Yeah, well, this usually is the December 12th. The Sunday sometimes is December 12th, sometimes it's the second Sunday, depends.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? In which case I would entertain a motion. I'd like for it to include a police escort, temporary closure of Harrison Avenue, and a 3-year temporary use permit.
I'll take a.
Thank you.
Loretton moves to approve the temporary use permit for Holy Family Parish to host the annual Our Lady of Guadalupe procession on Sunday, December 12th, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. from St. Joseph Church to Annunciation Church. This permit would include a police escort and temporary closure of Harrison Avenue. And the permit would run for 3 years.
Great, thank you.
Tharp seconds.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Luritson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Lobby,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Forgensi,
Yes.
Councilmember Tharp,
Yes.
Thank you, council.
One item of consideration for that is just, I think as we've discussed, the past couple parades had that oncoming traffic issue, so it'd be good to chat with the team about.
We've actually had that conversation. Last time we talked about that, I went
Yeah.
and talked to the chief about it.
Okay.
And thank you for that admonition.
Yes.
I'll try and make sure that that's in place.
And I think one issue was the difficulty of closing the side streets. So if there's a time when perhaps volunteers are needed to temporarily stop traffic at incoming side streets or something, I'd be open to serving as one of those roles.
That's a good idea. And I have seen that be a problem in the past. I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned it because I never think about it, but yeah.
That's what Officer Hanson told me was part of the issue during the homecoming parade, was they didn't have enough personnel to close all the,
Gotcha. When they don't, I mean,
Yeah.
Those side streets.
but maybe
Right.
with, yeah.
if they're coming from Second to up to Sixth, then the side streets of Third, Fourth, and Fifth would all be,
Yeah,
On east and
Issues.
west. So,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
okay. Not quite sure how we tackle that without having put it in the permit, but maybe we'll have a conversation
yeah.
with the parish about maybe they need to get some volunteers out there also.
Yeah, and then, but also if, I'm sure a lot of those folks want to be in the procession too, so just if volunteers are needed, I'd be happy.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And I have an outfit and a stop sign that I could wear. What do you think?
This is
Tim?
a reverent event.
As long as you don't come near Fifth Street.
Okay, never mind. Next up, we have, this is the Planning and Zoning Commission has solicited participants in P and Z. Ting has raised her hand and appeared before Planning and Zoning and has volunteered. They have approved her conditionally, but it is a mayoral appointment with the OKF City Council. Ting, would you speak to us, please?
So I'm Tay, I'm the new owner of Nelson Motel. My husband and I moved here back in January 2021. We did a full renovation of the motel. We've been coming here for a couple of years just to recreate like literally everyone else, like go hiking, dirt biking, snowmobiling, yada. And we just like absolutely fell in love with the town and wanted to own something in this town so bad. And the motel was a great opportunity for us. And ever since we purchased the motel, we just felt like we got so much support from the local community, from Main Street program to EPC. And my husband, he started the Level ATV tour company. We had to go through a conditional use permit to be able to park our machines outside. And I just felt like we had nothing but absolutely amazing support from this community. So I would love more opportunity to actually participate in this small community and offer any ability to help. And I was talking to Laurie and she notified me that there is an open position for the commissioner. And yeah, I just got super excited and basically jumped on it. I felt like in the past couple of years, every time when we come to Leadville and Lake County, like there are just so many changes happening. Like we see new houses being built, we see new business coming to town, and it's just like, I felt like overall Leadville and Lake County are just growing absolutely so fast. And obviously there are some potential growing pain for workforce shortage and affordable housing, like literally everyone else knows here. And I just felt like it would be amazing if I can just participate in this and be potentially part of the solution. And yeah, I'm here to answer any questions.
Would anybody have any questions? I've looked at your resume. It's impressive, but what do you think what skills do you think you bring or potentially could bring to planning and zoning that would have value?
Yeah, I felt like, from my previous experience, obviously, I do not have experience in planning and zoning. But I do really like new challenges. I really love learning new things. And according to my husband, people like me better. To an extent. But I feel like from my previous experience, it did require me to actually work with a lot of people from different departments in corporations, people coming from different backgrounds. So I felt like I'm able to actually understanding people's needs and figure out the solution that meets people's needs and obviously following all the rules and meet something in the middle.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Any thoughts or objections from city council on this appointment?
I have a question.
Please.
Ting, thanks for your interest in stepping up to this position. What would some of your priorities be in your participation with the committee?
Affordable housing is definitely number one. I understand there's a shortage in long-term affordable housing, and obviously there's a bigger need to the local community with investors jumping in and hoping to purchase a second home and from short-term rentals. So I think that would be one of the higher priorities on the list for sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you. Ting, having answered those questions, as mayor of Leadville, I hereby appoint you to the Planning and Zoning Commission Board. Thank you for stepping up.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, King, for your excitement. Planning and zoning.
Congratulations.
Next up, Christiana, lead us through this morass of paperwork and what we need to know.
Well, I will try to be as concise as I possibly can be. I gave you guys the information to the extent that you wanted to look through it in the packet. But essentially, as you might know, the state of Colorado, through the Attorney General's office, was in litigation against pharmaceutical companies that manufacture opioids. And it was for their part in the opioid crisis. And several of the major and biggest pharmaceutical companies have entered into a nationwide settlement with states, including Colorado. And now the Colorado Attorney General has an MOU that sets out how this money will be distributed throughout the state of Colorado and to the state and the state's political subdivisions. So the money will go to the state, cities, towns, and counties. And the estimated amount of the settlement funds that the state of Colorado and all of the political subdivisions will get is anywhere between $300 million and $400 million. And so pursuant to the MOU, the way that the Attorney General has decided to, kind of administer and process these funds is to divide the states up into different, or the state up into different regions. And Leadville is in Region 5, and that's Lake County, Eagle County, Summit, Pitkin, and Garfield counties. So that's your region. And the MOU also spells out how much each political subdivision will get. Leadville gets a little itty bitty tiny portion that equals out to, forgive my math, because these are, please take these numbers as with a grain of salt, because you have an attorney trying to do numbers here. But it's somewhere around $60,000 to $80,000 is what Leadville would get approximately, if I did my math right. And that amount would be spread out potentially over 18 years. It may be less time that the payments are spread out, but it could potentially be spread out over 18 years. So Leadville has two options. Well, more than two options here. First of all, you can participate or not participate. This resolution before you essentially says, hey, yes, Leadville is going to participate in receiving these settlement funds. The more jurisdictions that participate, the more money overall that Colorado as a state gets to address its opioid issues within Colorado. So the Attorney General has been really pushing for as many jurisdictions to participate as possible. Let's see, where am I at now? If Leadville does participate, then you can either receive these funds, these settlement funds directly, or you can allocate your funds to your region, so Region 5. If you decide to take these funds directly, and then you'll have to use them for the specific purposes that are set out in the MOU. And just generally speaking, those are things like care and prevention, recovery, opioid recovery, all related to opioids, of course, harm reduction. There are some law enforcement uses that could be related to opioids and everything, but you would have to use it for those specific purposes. And there are really burdensome reporting requirements that the city would have to follow if the city receives the funds directly. So a lot of jurisdictions like Leadville that are getting kind of, smaller amounts, even though overall it's a decent, it's a decent amount of settlement funds just spread out over a while. Because of those burdensome reporting requirements, a lot of jurisdictions are just allocating their funds to their region. And there is a regional council that is formed in according to however the governing bodies in the region want to form it. There is a suggested format for this regional council to just, take the funds, accept the funds, decide how to use them. And Leadville would potentially get a seat on this council if you decide to participate and, of course, allocate your money to the region. So all that to say, the recommendation from my office is to participate in the settlement and to allocate your funds to your region. And then ideally, you all, the city, either a city council member or a city employee, however you guys decide to do that, could be on this regional council that gets to decide how these settlement funds are used to address the opioid issues in your region. Feel free to ask me any questions.
Any questions from City Council? David, go ahead.
Yeah, Christiana, do these settlement funds just go to municipalities, or does the county have a similar consideration here?
The county has a similar consideration. Yep, all political subdivisions. So no matter if it's a city or a county, each subdivision gets a portion of these funds.
And do we know, has the county made a decision or determined what they'll do yet?
I am unsure. I have not spoken to anyone in the county about that. I would be happy to reach out to the county attorney and ask her about it.
I guess the reason that I'm asking is, while I see the benefit of allocating the funds to the region, Leadville also has a fairly unique population and unique considerations when it comes to substance abuse. And we, at least from the county standpoint, have a very active drug court that is, I think, done amazing things for helping people instead of penalizing people who have addictions. And I think it would be interesting to reach out and see what the county is thinking, because that particular program has a lot of different moving pieces, and I have no idea if it would be worth the reporting requirements. But that was the first thing that came to mind, was somehow supporting, you know, our drug court and the parole people who work within that, within those programs.
Yeah, I will tell you the reporting requirements are pretty burdensome. It would be a lot of staff time, and you guys just have a really tiny staff. So I would say that just based on what I know from what those reporting requirements look like and everything, I would say that would be a consideration for the region, you know, to allocate some of the money that goes to the region from the big pot for all these 4 counties and all the subdivision, all the cities and towns in those counties. If everybody, you know, kind of pools their funds, then the idea would be that the regional council would get to kind of, you know, administer those funds, and the drug court could be one place that those funds go to.
I think that's a great thought that Dana brought up. And it occurred to me that if we're talking about $60,000 to $80,000 over 18 years, we're talking about $4,000 or $5,000 a year. And so the downside could be, just as you're suggesting, the burden of federal reporting requirements. You know, what is it worth to us? On the other hand, if we could designate our share to the county, because the county has the health department and they have the sobriety court, would that be a possibility? If we sign on to this, can we designate that money to them and put the burden on them for all the reporting? I guess is where I'm going with that.
You can either accept the money directly, and like Leadville would receive the money and you would have to use it again for those purposes set out in the MOU, or you can allocate it to your region. And those are the only 2 options under the MOU.
Not to the county, but to the region itself.
No. Right.
Okay. But your recommendation is that we accept this. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. I think it helps. I think it helps overall.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I am concerned federal reporting can be, you know, a nightmare. And especially
if you
applies a
allocate
small amount of money.
Yeah. If you allocate it to your region, then you don't have to follow the reporting requirements. There's no cost to the city. You just say, hey, yeah, we're participating. We want a seat on our council. I mean, potentially, again, that depends on how the governing bodies structure the regional council to distribute the funds. So that's yet to be seen. But if Leadville decides to participate, then and you allocate the money to the region, then it's virtually no cost to you guys.
When will we have to make that decision about allocation?
The reason it's on tonight's agenda is because the Attorney General has asked that as many jurisdictions as possible sign on to participate by November 5th. The actual deadline, right? The actual deadline is, I think it's at the end of December or early January.
Okay. But at that time, we would have to make a decision whether we were applying for this. I want to call it a grant, but it's not the settlement agreement for ourselves or for the region.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions to City Council? One thought, you know, to Dana's point again is, you know, we could accept the money and we could go through all the reporting requirements. We still could pool our money with the county, you know, for uses that are applicable to the opioid epidemic. Can't even talk. It's the mask. Okay. Any other thoughts from City Council or questions for Christiana?
Well, even if we were pooling with the county, if they're getting a similar amount, then we're still potentially.
They're getting about 3 times as much as we are.
They are.
Well, here's the breakdown on
Okay, so
page 6.
if they're getting 73%, if that's what 26% is.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you have to do a little bit of extra because there's a local government share of the total opioid settlement funds that Colorado's getting. And so there's a local government share. And then of the local government share, each political subdivision gets a percentage of the local government share. And so you have to like break it down a few times in order to get to what the county will actually receive.
Some of these percentages are like tiny. for some
Yeah,
of these cities.
holy cow. But then we'd still, even if we did that in pools with the county, we'd still have to meet the reporting guidelines, right?
Yeah.
The
That's
city
right.
would too, wouldn't they, Christiana? We'd have to have two reports.
Yes.
The city would have to, if the city received the funds directly, then yes, the city would have to meet the reporting requirements. If the county received the funds directly, the county would have to meet the reporting requirements too.
Okay.
Getting the feeling we want to see what the county's
No,
thinking or?
no, I think, if this is a request from the state, what they said is the more people who are willing to participate, the more money comes into the state. It's not like there's an amount of money and then it's divvied up. It's really going to depend on participation. So I'm willing to go down that road. Regardless of what we ultimately decide to do with the money.
Do we have to designate in the motion what we want to do?
According to Christiana, no, not yet.
Nope, the
So this
resolution,
motion is just to participate.
the motion would be, if you pass the resolution, then what the resolution says is that Leadville wants to participate in the settlement funds and receive settlement funds, but Leadville will allocate its funds to the region. And it authorizes the mayor to sign all of the, there are like 4 different documents that need to be signed and sent off to the Colorado Municipal League and then on to the Attorney General's office. So that's what the resolution does.
So if we pass the resolution, the money will go to the region.
Correct.
Gotcha.
It seems to me that although, I think we all have our little pet projects that we would love to spend money like that on. If it turns out, even if we partnered with the county, that we would still have to do our own reporting, it doesn't seem to me that it's particularly worth it to go down that pathway. And I would be in favor of passing the money on to the region.
Everybody agree with that?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, thank you. I think that's well posed. Any other questions for Christiana? In which case I would entertain a motion, please.
I'm going to try to redeem myself from the last time. Councilmember Forgensi moves to adopt resolution number 30 series of 2021, a resolution delegating authority to the mayor to execute the memorandum of understanding and other documents related to the Colorado opioid settlement.
Phil seconds.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Tharp,
Yes.
Councilmember Forgensi,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Green,
Yes.
Mayor Lobby,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yes.
Councilmember Lauritsen.
Yes.
How interesting. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Christiana. Okay, at this time, we have the public meetings planner. I don't think I saw it in here, unless oh no, there it is. I did see it in here. I have December, I don't see November. Oh, maybe I just have, I'm not paying close enough attention. Just a second.
Should be in there.
Yeah. Not working. There's so much going on, but anything on the meetings planner?
I will be absent on the 16th.
Okay. And that's a regular city council meeting. Got it.
So it looks like going into December, we should be wrapping up budget talks by December 7th.
Yes. In fact, we're required to pass the budget. We will actually have to pass that budget on the 7th. Because DOLA will require that that budget be sent to them, balanced budget, by the middle of the next week. But we should be, I hope we'll be done by then. Looks like things are going smoothly with the budget, and so we'll see how it goes, but I'm optimistic.
And then going into the holidays, did we want to have a get together of some sort in December?
That's actually a great idea. It's so busy, I haven't thought about it, but the answer is yes, we should do that. Let me talk to staff and see, what we think would be appropriate. And with that in mind, do we want to, we've done various things over the years. We've had it like gatherings at different venues. I think it was Quincy's one year, and it was Tree Line one year, and different years have been different venues. Do we want to go out to a venue? Or we've also had gatherings here that were like potluck and really fun. And I'm good either way. I just like the idea of inviting people to get together.
I'd like to hear what other council people would like to, like their comfort level for get together. I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure that everybody feels included in the decision if we're going to move forward with some sort of get together.
So let's poll city council. We'll start with Max.
I can go either way. Also, if our families are invited or whatnot, I obviously would think that, I want to make sure it's inclusive if possible, but if folks are going to bring family members, maybe it would be better to have it in the council chambers or something like that, or I don't know.
I think that we've done that before, and I think we did it in a couple of years where we really tried to cut costs. Don't get me wrong, I have no problem cutting costs. However, I would say this was not a big enough venue for that. We're going to need a bigger venue. Any thoughts?
Not off the top of my head, but I like the idea.
Okay, Dana, thoughts?
I don't have anything useful to add.
Okay, thank you. And I like Max's idea of families, of having families in a gathering. Tracy?
My husband and I are avoiding anything external where people aren't masked, and so I would have to decline.
Okay, that's understandable. Thank you. But any thoughts on what type of gathering might be appropriate for the city?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. Cisco?
I would attend. My family probably would as well. I could ask also about freight, depending on the date. And maybe if we're flexible on date, she could have us there.
If we could decide on a date pretty soon, we might be able to lock in something.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, are we talking about weeknight? Are we talking about a Friday or a weekend? What does everybody think would work best to get people to gather at that time of year? Because that can be a struggle, especially getting into December. Tim?
Let's party.
Okay.
What about this week of the 12th through the 18th? A little pre-Christmas might be easier for people. And we have that week open in terms of having meetings, so.
What would everybody think of like a Friday evening if we're going to be gathering? Any thoughts on a Friday evening? Especially in terms of families being able to gather.
I will be out of town.
On which day is that? The 17th, you thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. What about well, let's not make a decision right now. We'll see, we'll send out a poll, see what people, think. We'll try and have a venue and some sort of a theme and maybe a potluck, something like that. And maybe the city supplies some things, but then people bring a side dish or, that would make it more fun, more participatory.
Mayor, if, one thought suggestion here, if Dana's out that Friday and Commissioner or Councilmember Lutzen is kind of avoiding these types of gatherings. I mean, we've already lost 2/7 of our entire council, not to incorporate Diane Kiss or anything and the other folks, but we should find a place that if it either works for folks, less Tracy, or maybe do something that was similar to last year, as much as I don't want to do that, but I just wish we could all get together and everybody feel comfortable about it, but I respect everybody's differences of opinion, and I just want to make sure people feel like we're in this together, because we are.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that, Max. It just, I would love to get together with people and take my mask off and have a drink, but I'm just not there yet.
And, I just talked about maybe Fridays, but what would everybody think if it were a Monday evening or something like that? Would
I
that?
think weekdays would generally be as good as any for us, as long as it's on the earlier side of it.
Especially if families are involved.
Yeah.
It's not like we're gonna party all night or anything. We aren't, are we, Tim?
Never know. Never know.
I guess there could be an after party.
Okay, let me try and work something out, talk to staff, and then send out some notes and see what everybody thinks. But thank you for bringing that up. It was not on my radar, so I have to admit. Okay, any other thoughts on the agenda, on the planner? Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have mayor's report. Again, way too much stuff going on. Do want to let you know we got $30,000. We've been doing a food voucher program in cooperation with St. George's. We give out a voucher for $40 to families who come in for food assistance, and then they can use those. There are 8 different establishments in town that will take those vouchers, and that's gone very well. We're probably going to, by the end of the year, have spent about $100,000, all grant money on those vouchers. So that's pretty fantastic. Had a meeting with the Stage and Rail Trail Committee today. That's going very nicely. That is the trail that will run from Leadville to Salida. They think by the end of 2022, they will have about 80% of the total miles in the Stage and Rail Trail, which will include about 13 miles in Lake County, in place and signed. So they're really working hard to make this happen, and it's been going on for quite some years. But I don't know whether we have any obligation there at this point. But if they ask, I would certainly like to listen to what they have to say. What else? This is. I keep forgetting about it because I have to admit, to me personally, it's not terribly important, but it may be important to City Council. We had stopped doing the Pledge of Allegiance during virtual meetings. Is that something we feel we want or need to reinstitute?
I do not feel that we need to. but I'm not heavily opposed to it either if it's important to others.
I kind of feel the same way. Tim?
I could go either way. I don't need that as part of the meeting.
Tracy?
No, I think it started as a McCarthy era thing to get people to pledge to our country, and I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. Max?
Is there anything in the bylaws or
Robert's
Robert's rules that requires us to have a pledge of allegiance?
It wouldn't be in Robert's rules. It could possibly be in state statute. I hadn't thought about that.
I'll check on that.
Christiana, do you have, if you're still here, do you have any opinion on that?
I have never seen that requirement in state statute. That's
Okay.
not to say it's not there, but I have never, ever seen that.
All right. Dana, what are your thoughts?
I had noticed its absence too, but I don't have any strong feelings about it.
Okay. I don't have any problem not having it on the agenda, me personally. That's my personal view. And so it sounds like we don't, as a body, feel it's important to us. So we'll leave it off. Unless, of course, we find out that somehow it's in state statute. So.
I will say it's really hard to navigate in those chairs, getting up and down for it. Because
Okay.
your chair is so large.
So has his hand up.
Yes, Max.
Mayor, I was just curious, is it worth a poll in the paper to see how our community thinks it should? Like, do you think that it should be the Pledge of Allegiance, yes, no, or don't care? I mean, I'm just saying that because if there was a majority that said no, don't care, then yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there as like, maybe we're 7 people that really are ambivalent to the idea, but our community as a whole is strongly one way or the other. Just as a suggestion, not necessarily something I'm asking to take action, but just throwing it out there, thinking about us representing the community and the fact that city council does the billing for our community. So that's it.
I like the thought of it, but I just don't know how we go about doing that. I have a feeling if people felt strongly about it, we would have already heard. And I can just say for myself, hasn't been mentioned to me. It's just been on my mind that we don't. And I've already expressed my opinion on that, and the county has re-implemented. So just for right this second, it sounds like it's something we should leave alone. If we get feedback on that, maybe we reconsider it. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
I have something that I wasn't really sure where to fit it in, but the more I've thought about the request from the sheriff to pay $15,000 for service rendered, the more uncomfortable I feel about that without an invoice. I mean, I kind of get the complexity of the situation, but when it comes down to it, we should not be in the business of giving out money without some documentation of what it is that we're giving it to. And so I'm open to other perspectives on this, of course, but I think I'd like to have a little bit more discussion on that.
I would say this, she hasn't actually requested an additional 15.
Okay.
She said there is an additional 15.
Okay.
And in that meeting that we had with her and the county commissioners, we basically said, bring us an invoice.
Okay.
We'll happily pay you for the services you've rendered to us, because in that time, when we were in real trouble, we lost our police chief. She did step up. I mean, she and her department really came to, to our defense. And also she was over here every day working, with our administrative staff, Shannon, on things that otherwise just weren't going to get covered. By law, we had an obligation to take care of. So I don't want anybody to misunderstand me that I've given her carte blanche. I haven't done that. However, I have deep respect for what she did during that time. And if she has bills to present to us, then I feel we are obligated, and I will feel gladly obligated to support that. But
Super, yeah, I think that sounds like that is where it stands then at the moment is, and I do also support paying for those services. Sounds like they're very helpful.
now what we've done is we've asked for the police commissioner and the sheriff to sit down and work out, without any elected officials in the room, to sit down and work out a plan that would entail how they support each other and under what circumstances one might bill the other, because it can be a two-way street. So we have asked for that to happen. I have not heard that it's been scheduled yet. Max Cohen has volunteered to be the facilitator for that meeting, but I haven't heard back on a schedule for that event yet. And I said, you do have to copy me in.
Thank you, and I do definitely support and advocate for having some written agreement there, because it seems like it'll be useful.
Could be useful in perpetuity in terms of understanding the relationship.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other council reports or thoughts?
Just a couple things. So with the passage of 2A, I'm just making sure that IGA between the county and the city is in forward motion with hiring the housing director. And then of course we're going to have to figure out administratively how all that's going to work.
Just so you know, the IGA, we worked on the IGA on Monday, the county commissioners and I did. We have agreed, Christiana had given us a draft. We took that draft and then we decided on what we want to change in the draft. We agreed on that. That person will be a county employee. That person will, on as day-to-day supervision, will answer to the county manager, but there will be a three-person committee that will have oversight over the vision, and responsibilities of that director.
And then also the administrative, I don't want to call it a burden, but the administrative component of collecting that tax.
That belongs to the city. Donna and I have been talking about that because we were joking about it. We said, oh, great, 2A passed, now what do we do? So MuniRevs has a process by which they, will and I don't know how they do it, because we're talking about hundreds of different businesses, short-term rental and all lodging establishments that will have to remit that 4.92 tax to us. And so we need a process in place that tracks that and assures us that we're receiving, those taxes.
Don't they still pay it to the state? And
Not in
then-
this case, it's a city tax. It is a direct city tax. In this case, it would come directly to the city.
It won't go through the
It
state,
will not go through the state.
through their business taxes?
No, this will be a separate form that they'll have to use to pay the city directly.
Yeah. That's a cost we
That's my
weren't
understanding.
anticipating.
Yeah, no, I kind of knew that was coming, but
I kind of had one more question about that. So the 1.92 that the tourism panel will still receive, and maybe Christiana could chime in on this, are they going to be still required or limited by statute as to what they can spend that money on?
that's actually a great question, isn't it? Because it won't be coming from the state. We'll be paying that 1.92%.
So I was thinking maybe they could use that, go outside the boundaries of the statute and spend that share of the money on other things.
Ask her.
Christiana, what do you think?
Yeah. So I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. What I know is that if the county imposes a lodging tax, then they have to use it for those specific tourism purposes. But if they are receiving it from the city and it's not a direct county tax, then I don't know. It could be that they don't have those restrictions anymore and they can use that money for different things. But I imagine if it's going to the tourism panel that they will continue to use it for whatever they need it for. But I don't know off the top of my head.
Can you look into that for us, Christiana?
I can, and we can also, since that's a county thing, we could also talk to the county attorney about it as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little clarity there. It seems like maybe that's come up in the past, but I hadn't thought of it in a while. And that's a great question because they're not encumbered the same way they would be with the state head tax.
And I also had one more thing as a report. We have a group of girls up at the high school that were in Colorado Springs at a state cross-country meet, and they won.
Wow.
So we have state champion, Lake County state champion team for the first time in 25 years. Extremely proud. The way these girls came together is amazing what they did. Last year they came in second. I don't think they realized how good they were last year. But after they came in second, they made a commitment. They spent 4 days a week over the summer vacation of getting up by 7 a.m., going to practice during the entire summer. They worked hard throughout the season, overcame some battles, some different health issues, and were able to put it all together in the end to bring us a state championship.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Violet Hill was in the pack of 4 that brought home the championship. Great article in the paper. You know, if you get a chance, do read it. It was, I was invited to go to the assembly on Monday morning because this just happened on Sunday, and I was really proud to be there.
Wow.
And got to thank the girls, you know, for their hard work because I told them nothing happens without a lot of hard work and preparation, and you guys put in the work, and it was pretty nice.
Did you see the size of that trophy? It's about
Yeah.
half the tallest thing.
It must weigh about 40 pounds. I tried to pick it up.
I'll tell you what, I have a picture of Violet with the trophy, and her smile is as big as the trophy.
Cool.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
That really is pretty outstanding.
That's awesome.
Any other council reports?
I have some council comments. Is Commissioner Mudge reached out to both Councilmember Hill and I about the outfitters and the guided services on the east side. We still have not been able to pin down a date to discuss that, although I think it's written pretty clearly in their code that they're well within their jurisdiction to do something about it if they feel so inclined. Tim, have you heard anything else from Commissioner Mudge on that?
I have not, and yeah, my apologies, I didn't respond to your email, but whenever you guys, I'm pretty flexible, so whatever you come up with, I'll be willing to meet with you guys.
Okay, well, I tried to get a hold of Commissioner Mudge today without success. I'm certain plenty busy these days, so I'll continue to do so and until we get something on there to talk about that and see if there's any sort of reconciliation that we can come up with and help them out. I have a second piece, and this is something that perhaps we should discuss at a future council meeting. It's winter season, and that means plowing is coming along. And I know we've kicked around some ideas about plowing and different strategies on Are we gonna have people park on one side of the street and then plow that side and then make them park on the other side? Or are we gonna plow to the center of these streets? I'd like to get a presentation from the street department on their strategy that they want to employ this year, at least try out. And then also to Councilmember Hill and I's efforts last year to get a snow removal program. I still would think that we need to send something out in the near term. I don't know what that means to folks on what to expect this year from plowing. And so we can see if we can continue to do it. And I'm a firm advocate that we should try as a city to remove snow from city streets at a minimum of one time this year, once this season. I think we did more than that last year, but I just think that we should maintain that goal again coming in. And I know that this isn't on the agenda, so I don't want to belabor the point, but I think that perhaps if we can put it on a future city council agenda for a presentation and maybe some discussion.
Hey, Max, next week is the budget meeting with street department, and I could go over some of the things we've been talking, some of the vendors we've been talking about, the snow blower, they're bringing one up for us to demo. And if we want, we can buy that one, but I don't want to get into too much detail. I would like for the street department to kind of talk about their ideas, just like you were talking about plowing in the middle, using the snow blower. Anyway, I think that's going to be a great subject as part of our budget conversation next week.
Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Anything else from city council? Hearing none, do we have anybody in the public who would like to speak to city council? Seeing none, at 7:20, the city council meeting is adjourned. Hee-haw.